Cinco de Mayo. My shorty bad like Shakira.
Ooh.
I told her look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Don't need a license to carry. I do not let them sit near.
Nah.
She got a heart that's so pure.
Yeah.
Better hope nothing occur.
Nada.
Better hope nothing occur.
All right, welcome to the first ever podcast episode of NFL Flag Talk. My name is Rashad Colvin. This is Eric Cooper, but I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is Eric Cooper. I'm the commissioner of the Pittsburgh NFL Flag Football League, and we're so glad to be this our first NFL Flag podcast talk. So we're excited for that.
So I think the first thing we should do is just kind of like explain to people. Well, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Rashad Colvin. I'm the president of league operations for the Pittsburgh NFL League, and we're the dynamic duo. You know, we work together hand in hand. So this is our, again, first ever time doing this, and we just feel like it's a necessity, and we would just want to cover everything, you know, that there is as far as flag football. We love this flag football. Like I played, you know, tackle football in high school, played a little bit of semi-pro, played flag football like everywhere through, you know, here in Pittsburgh, in the military, like everywhere, like flag football. Like I loved it, and I just kind of fell in love with the game, and I'm a huge football fan. So working with the youth is where I always wanted to be. I always envisioned myself like doing something as far as with the youth. So this Pittsburgh NFL League just kind of blossomed, you know, out of that idea, just like working with the youth, being in flag football, and yeah, that's me.
And like I said before, I'm Eric Cooper, and I've always been about the youth as well. I think all my jobs I've had have been working with kids. So which segues into how we started the league in the first place. The Penn Hills YMCA wanted to offer up a flag football program. A man named Jay Hope was the executive director there. And so first, I guess he found Rashad, or Rashad reached out or whatever. And so Rashad started the league in 2004. I came in working for the YMCA in 2005, and so we've been doing that ever since. Then in 2015, I decided, you know, instead of just a regular YMCA program, I found out about NFL flag. And I said, hey, we're going to make our flag football program at the Y become an NFL flag program, one of the newest sites. And so we did that. And as well as turning the league over to like an NFL flag program, we had to travel. We decided to take some of our best kids and compete in tournaments. You know, the tournaments, the winners of the regional tournaments went to at that time, the site of the Super Bowl. And so I said, hey, if we're going to go all in into the NFL flag thing, let's go all the way in. And so we took 10 of our best kids, and that was our first elite team that we had. And so we've been doing the NFL flag, and it was the Penn Hills Elite the first couple of years, and then because we had everybody from Pittsburgh, kids from all over Pittsburgh, we said we're the Pittsburgh Elite. So that's how we became the Pittsburgh Elite and Pittsburgh NFL Flag Football League.
For sure. Briefly, we want to explain like why we wanted to put together a podcast. So one, we felt like in the NFL flag space, there's no real place to kind of go to kind of talk NFL flag. Like you see adult flag football, you see a few different podcasts there, but as far as like NFL flag, as far as youth flag football, like personally, I don't know anywhere that they have like an actual place for NFL flag to talk, to have like a platform for us. So again, we feel like we're the trendsetters because we've been doing this for 20 years. So like, why not us? You'll probably hear this a lot, me saying, you know, why not us? So here it is again, where we trying to start something different, and you know, the idea of the podcast kind of blossom. And basically, what we want to kind of talk about today is the NFL Summit. So I guess I'll let you talk about the NFL Summit and why we wanted to host this first podcast.
Sure. First of all, the NFL Flag Summit, they've been doing this for about 4 years now. This is where all the league organizers from around the country come together to talk about their respective leagues. Two, some of the different programs that NFL Flag as a whole is bringing on, so you can make your league a better experience for all the players and coaches. And it's just a good way of getting a bonding with everybody else, the organizers, to find out what they do, see if some of the things they do and some of the things we do,
yeah, for sure,
that can influence others and take a little bit of back from each other. So that's what the NFL Flag Summit is all about. But we're really here because this year at the NFL Flag Summit, we were picked. Our league was picked as one of the other league organizers selected us as the League of the Year.
League of the Year, that's huge.
League of the Year.
Yeah, that's huge.
We were shocked to be nominated, and not only did we get nominated, they voted for us to win.
For sure.
So we were happy about that. Rashad Church says it itself. The theme for this year's summit was "Be a Game Changer," and
game changer.
I think that fits our league actually perfectly because we've been game changers, I think, in our league and throughout the country all of our time.
Yeah, this whole time.
So, again, that's why we wanted to do this podcast. One, to say thanks to NFL Flags, thanks to RCX Sports for hosting the summit in the first place, and for all the NFL Flag League organizers who voted for us. We do appreciate you thinking about us and seeing how we try to make the players have a good NFL experience to bring the NFL to them.
For sure. So before we kind of get into more about the NFL Flag Summit, let's kind of go into our league for people that might not know, why we are the Pittsburgh NFL League, why we were named that. Let's just kind of go into the history of the Pittsburgh NFL League, kind of give them a broad view of what we do and why we won. Why I feel like we won. So if you will, just kind of go into the history, deep dive into that.
Okay. Well, I think as I mentioned earlier, we were the YMCA League, and then 2015, I said, hey, let's become the Pittsburgh NFL League. But even before then, we were doing things that represent the NFL. For example.
Yeah, we've been doing that.
Yes. For example, we did a combine. The very first week, we did a combine for the kids, 40-yard dash. Whatever the NFL does for their whole season is what we did brought to our league. Mm-hmm. So we did a combine. And then we do a draft. I'm sorry, not a draft. Before that, we do a training camp. And the training camp lasts for about 3 weeks. We practice during the week and one day during the week and on a Saturday. So they get 6 training camp practices before we even pick teams. And most leagues, they don't do that. So most leagues, they just meet once and then they form the teams. We want the kids to, either ones who have been with us for a long time, to get back into the football
for
thing,
sure.
Or if you're new, learn the game of football.
For sure.
Learn how to play flag. Learn how to pull the flags. Learn to run routes. So we do that training camp for about 6 weeks. For about 6 practices, 3 weeks, and then the coaches come into the room and they draft. And we do a big draft for the players, which the coaches love and everything like that. Then they form the teams, and then we do in our fall season, we do a 10 to 12 game season.
And that's so real quick to stop you. So normally NFL Flag is 6 or 7 games, 6 or 7 weeks.
Yep.
So that's another thing that sets us apart. So why do you feel like we it's that long for us?
One, I think we just like the sport.
That's a good point.
The passion of the sport. And fall, at least in the fall, the fall is football season.
For sure.
And so, and I think we sort of correlate with the high school football league football season as well. And because high school is big here in Pittsburgh, area.
Yeah, huge.
And so I think as the Whitfield high school season has gone on, so has our league. But the NFL, they do 16 games. In fact, the NFL, when they first, instead of 16 games, they did a 12-game season before they went to 16.
For sure.
And so why not do the same thing for NFL for us? So that's why we do a 10-game season. And then what I think sets us apart is we do how the NFL has the Pro Bowl, but we have in the middle of our season, as with every other sport, has their all-star stuff right in the middle of the season.
Absolutely.
So we just had to bring that to our league as well. So we have our All-Star Saturday or All-Star Sunday, depending on the season, full of games and competitions.
That's huge day.
Fastest man, a defensive challenge, quarterback challenge, wide receiver challenge. Everybody plays in their own respective games. Mm-hmm. And then for the last 4 or 5 years now, we have a coaches game.
Oh yeah, the coaches game.
And so the coaches take on our top older kids, and they love it. In fact, as of right now, the series is tied 2-2. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next year if the coaches or players get on top. And so again, we do our season, we do our playoffs, and championships. We give out the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah.
But then over the last maybe couple of years, hey, NFL players get rings. Why wouldn't our players get rings?
Yeah.
And so we give our rings to the winners as well. What we've been doing since 2007, we have our annual banquet / our own very own NFL honor ceremony. And we've been doing that at Dave & Buster's for the past 15 years. And that's a great time for all of us to come back together. Again, look back at the season. We give out awards to the kids. Not just, these are awards just you see in the real NFL. In the MVP, offensive player, defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, tight end of the year, vice versa. We do a parent of the year, so you represent the parents because the parents make up a big part of our league. We give out a coach of the year to recognize the coach, most improved. So we do a lot, and then this past season, really to celebrate because like we said, we're going into our 20th year.
20th year, that's huge
as a league, and so we've had a lot of great athletes come through our league, and so last year. We started this before, but a couple of awards we named after some of our athletes.
Some standout players
who made an impact in that particular position. But this year, we named all the awards after all of our former players who have made an impact at those certain positions. So to pay homage to them and the impact and legacy they've left in our league.
For sure.
And then, just like in the NFL, they have the Hall of Fame. And so we have our own Hall of Fame.
Now, I think that's one thing. Not to cut you off, but I think that's probably the one thing, other than the honor ceremony, that sets us apart. So if you want to kind of go into explaining like the Hall of Fame and like what it entails and everything about it, just the kind of history behind it.
Yeah, but you were the first person to come up with the Hall of Fame. But the Hall of Fame is, we want to recognize all the players who have come through our league. Now, we go up to the age of 13, so to get into the Hall of Fame, you have to play your last year of eligibility. You have to go all the way through. You can't just play a little bit and stop. So you have to play at least to the age of 13. And if you play with us for at least 4 years or more, that puts you into the Hall of Fame. And so we have about, 95 players.
It's crazy to think.
Over the time. And we put in some of our coaches. I think we have about 4 coaches in there into the Hall of Fame. And the parents.
It's not a lot of coaches, though, if you think about it.
No, but the coaches have a different different standard.
For sure.
All those coaches that have been in are in or have been with us for at least 10 years or more.
Oh, okay.
So that's the standard of getting in as a coach.
For sure. It's a different criteria.
For
sure.
The parents inducted myself into the Hall of Fame.
Which was dope.
Which was amazing in 2015. Rashad right here, I put him in 2017. It
was a huge honor.
Yeah, so... that's right. The Hall of Fame is what I think stands us apart.
For sure. Like, just thinking about, like, the Hall of Fame, and again, you kind of going through the NFL and saying, hey, like, if you play this game, not saying that everybody doesn't get this, but if you play this game and you're good and you really excel and you put forth, like, a lot of effort, like, it doesn't even have to be athletic effort, but, like, if you're a good teammate, if you show up to practice, if you do all the things that we want you to do, and we require that you, be a good student of the game. And it's like, then you get a chance to see, like, hey, I put in the work, I've played numerous years, to see myself up there, to see that picture, my plaque, my jersey in it. I just feel like it's just a huge accomplishment, and just to kind of see, the players over the years kind of come back, Hall of Famers, and just to have that Hall of Fame, enshrinement, inductee, and all that good stuff. I just think it's just one thing that kind of, again, sets us apart from everybody else. So it's just like, there's nothing like it. There's no experience like that. It's for like a 13-year-old. It's just like, that's the biggest thing other than graduating school. Right. But like, for a 13-year-old. So I think that's a dope thing.
The other thing I think that sets us apart, NFL players, they have records. Who has the most touchdowns. And so we've kept stats, and so if you go to our website, you can see the season leaders and career leaders, and the kids see themselves. And so, like I said, we've always said the kids are the stars.
For sure.
And so we treat them like that. And like I said, when they go up there, they see the stats, like, man, you see people who been up there for 10 years, and it's just amazing.
For sure. And again, it's another way for like some of our older players that are out of the game to kind of take a look back and say, okay, well, the Marcus Dorsey Award. Hey, I want to break that record, that receiving record. So it's just the little things like that, the little nuances, and to try to get people more invested into the game and like, hey, I want to look at my stats. How many touchdowns did I score? How many receptions did I have? So it's just the little things like that. And just to kind of, to move forward, I want to take it back to like the NFL summit. So to a lot of league organizers who either may not know about the summit or they may be on the fence about the summit. So let's kind of talk about like why you feel like league organizers should go to the summit.
Oh, I think the summit is very important because one, you get to learn just a lot about the sport. I mean, for example, they have so many sessions that you can go to break down. They have a session on coaches and how to recruit and retain coaches. They have a session on officiating and refereeing and some of those things that we do there, how to be a good official. And then the league itself, how to be a good league and things you can implement. New technologies and that you can enhance your league. Talk about some of the experiences and events that you might want to bring to your league to make it fancier and something that your kids will want to come back to and come to. So that's why I think the summit is important.
So being that it's important, again, for the people that may be on the fence, kind of explaining to them like why you feel like they not only should think about it, but actually should go to the NFL Flag Summit.
Well, again, first one, it feels like you're not alone.
For sure.
As like in the past, I will admit, we became an NFL Flag League. I had no idea, one, that there were tons of other NFL Flag Leagues,
right,
as much as there were in the country.
Right.
But second of all, it's good to shoot ideas
for sure
off of each other. In fact, that was my favorite part of the whole summit, was talking to the other league organizers about things they do, see how they maybe keep more kids into their league, just some of the other things that make their league special to them and their community. So
real quick, not to cut you off, but can you explain, like in that session, the one that was like your favorite session, kind of talk about some of the other leagues that you work with and what you guys talked about?
Oh, okay. Well, in that session, first of all, the other league organizers in my session were so diverse. We had a woman from the United Kingdom. There's a league in the United Kingdom talking about her league, and then a guy from the Lotto Legends from West Virginia, Mike from West Virginia, talking about his league. I mean, for example, when they break their kids up by grades. Mm-hmm. Which I found interesting because we do it by ages. For sure.
That was a big topic of discussion too.
Right. And so hearing why they do grades and why they do it that way and why we do it, that was an interesting dialogue. Mm-hmm. We had a woman from Idaho, from her league in Idaho.
I never thought they play flag in Idaho, but
no.
Right.
It's how they retain their coaches and So, again, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's just it's just a lot of interesting discussions hearing what other leagues do.
For sure.
Matt Leinart, everybody know, if you know football, Matt Leinart,
USC star.
Yes, they have a league in California, and so they focus. They're heavy on girls, but hearing what they do and it just everything about them is what they do.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. And I think I'm gonna kind of piggyback on that experience. I felt the same way. The discussion, the dialogue that we had with the other league organizers was awesome. Like Gilbert Flag out in Arizona, they had like a lot of cool things that they did. I remember we sat in a session with Mike, I think it's Regina Flag out in Saskatchewan, how he was telling me about all the amount of kids that he got, which is like 5,000 kids in a year, which is amazing. But he just kind of went over like how detailed like his approach is as far as like making sure his lines are perfect, making sure you're getting like small things like an actual like football pylon, like the small things like that kind of brought into perspective is like you got to start paying attention to like the small minute details. And he was showing me another thing that he uses. We'll probably get into it maybe another episode about like the apps that league organizers use, and we use Zorts, and he used another app. The name escapes me right now. I think it was like League Finder or something like that he used, and he kind of explained like, hey, it does this, this, and this. And I was just like, man, Zorts doesn't do that. So again, just kind of breaking bread with some of them people and to bring stuff back to your organization. Because again, you feel like you may be a league organizer, like, hey, I feel like I know everything. But then you get there and be like, I don't know anything. So, again, it's a good reason why I feel like everybody should go, because you will learn something. You will be able to take something back to your league and enhance your league. So I feel like it's a good time to be had. So moving on. So again, we won NFL flag league of the year, which was, is amazing. I feel like, as an league organizer, I feel like that is the pinnacle. It's like the Super Bowl. So like, we don't get any bigger than that. So before we move forward, I want you to kind of, say thanks. If you want to say names or whatever, but just kind of like, take some time to kind of show gratitude to all the people to kind of help us get that and win that award.
Well, if you're talking about from the NFL flag, some perspective, first of all, you have to give a big shout out to Isaiah Reese and RCX Sports for they've really taken the NFL flag to the next level.
It's crazy to think about, though.
Before it was under the USA Football, but it was just basically NFL flag. You just got the jerseys
For sure.
and that's all. There was no communication with other leagues. There was nothing like this. So once Isaiah Reese and the team over there, RCX Sports, took it over about 3 or 4 years ago, they've really made a big community of league organizers, and so we want to appreciate him and shout out to them. I also want to thank Matt Ramel.
It's our guy.
Matt Ramel, who's been with us he's the head of director of the tournaments the NFL flag has had and he's been doing that forever since we've been. Just a good guy to talk to, and he's helped us with what he has is the Beast of the East tournament, and
biggest tournament on the planet.
So we piggybacked off of that about 6 years ago and started our own tournament. So why don't we have one here?
For sure.
And so, but we want to thank Matt Ramel for his vision to make NFL flag bigger in the tournaments as well. And then we would have won without somebody. I don't know who.
Right.
Like nominated us in the first place, and then all the league organizers who voted for us. And so, just want to reach out to them. And then here locally, all the coaches and players over the years that have taken
20 years. That's a lot of people.
Right.
So,
I also want to mention Tom Laneve.
Yeah, man, I love
Tom. Tom Laneve is the head of officiating.
He's a great guy.
And director of officiating for NFL flag, and he dropped some knowledge on you that I think has helped our league out over this past year as well. So I do want to shout him out
for sure. But what about like some of the parents, the coaches? Like, is there anybody? I don't want to say like that kind of stands out, but do you feel like they just like really helped our league kind of move to the next level?
Well, yeah. First of all, you have a guy named Reggie Manis. Reggie Manis,
all-time leading, most winningest coach in our league.
He's been with us since 2004 was the original coach. Exactly.
Right.
And he was our first elite coach in 2015, 2016, and he has the most wins and most victories, and he parlays some of his knowledge to some of the other coaches that have come through.
For sure.
And so he's one of the coaches that has helped take us to a next level.
For sure. Especially with the travel thing, though. With the travel. He's like the godfather for our league. Just anything coaching, shout out to Reg.
Yeah. Another shout out when it comes to parents is Shayla Ward. She was a parent in our league and would be at the cookouts and take the money for the banquets, and she was the ultimate team mom. And so she was also one that's been there doing things a lot of the ways, showing her parents this is how you're supposed to volunteer.
For sure,
and parents followed her lead when she was here. You're talking about the year, like why we got it for this year,
right?
I think this year in particular, we had our concession stand going with Margie Williams, and so she's always been, what's the word I'm looking for? A great parent. Brings a lot of energy to the stands.
She's very enthusiastic, for sure.
And so she wanted to do a concession stand for our past fall season. Another guy I want to shout out is Jay Turner.
Oh, it's our guy. Yeah.
Yes, Jay Turner.
Even though he didn't spend a lot of time with us, but I'm not going.
He was only with us in-house
for
2 years.
For sure.
But I really think is that he was the first coach to take us, I think, to our higher level nationally.
As far as travel goes, for sure.
For our travel teams.
For sure.
No
question.
Yes, but he came into our league at age 17 as a teenage,
crazy
as a teenage coach, and won a championship. Took the knowledge that he learned here, and now he's an assistant coach at Shady Side Academy here in Pittsburgh. It's actually his third high school coaching job since he's only in his early 20s. So he's been a great guy. Another person for this year is Marcus Dorsey.
Crazy.
Marcus Dorsey.
Another one.
Marcus Dorsey is a player who came through our league, has all the receiving records, but not only that, came back and wanted to officiate, and then so he did that. He also has his own. He also filmed, took pictures for us.
Sure.
He has his own company. He's only a junior in high school,
which is crazy.
And has his own photography company called 21 Developments.
Yeah.
So go check that out.
For sure.
But more importantly, he's come back as a coach. And he took his in-house team. They were the Ravens in our league, but he coached them all the way up into the regional champions. They won the Steelers regional tournament.
Yeah.
And he's going to the Pro Bowl.
They're going to Orlando
as a coach. And so I also want to shout out Josh Anderson and
another phenomenal person,
Max Waring. There were former players who came back to officiate in our league this year.
For sure.
And they've actually been officiating for several years.
For sure. Some of the best we got, too.
Yeah, so those are just a handful of people that I can think of that have taken our league somewhere, really helped us out this year.
Yeah, and just kind of to piggyback on that, just all the officials that we had in general, like I feel like it's just been like a huge help, to help us, officiate the games, help with the tournament, you just help with like cleanup, like just the small things that like a lot of people don't see. It just goes above and beyond, and they're just really genuinely good people, and I really appreciate the officials, the coaches too. The coaches stepping up, doing everything for over the years. We've had some phenomenal coaches, so ex NFL players, to play, coach with us and the whole nine, allowed their kids to play with us. I just really appreciate just every single person just like pouring into us, like coming out, showing their support, and being part of the league. So hats kind of go off to them, because we couldn't have won this award without you guys. So moving forward, let's pivot and let's kind of go to like what we have planned for I guess our future, and being this is our 20th year, so maybe for the fall, like if there's anything big that you have planned before we kind of wrap this thing up.
I think we're doing more on the social aspect, the social media
for sure
aspect. Take this podcast for example.
For sure.
This is one of I think we might do these in the future. Podcasts, bring in coaches and players and whatever, talk to them and get their feedback.
You got to come to Pittsburgh, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even some of our league coaches. Our Instagram has been pretty big, so I think we might try to do a type of news of the week, or like a Sports Center type of show for our league in general. So those are a couple of things I can think of from a social media standpoint that we're bringing this year to the league.
For sure. Real quick for the social media aspect, before we kind of got to this space, I'm gonna speak for myself. Like I didn't really know about like how powerful social media was. I didn't know anything when it came to graphic designs, video editing. So like we have a YouTube channel, we have a website, the whole nine. So we didn't know how to do any of that. So we just basically had to learn, kind of on a run. So with the website, so I remember but I know like, at the NFL Summit, like Sports Connect is a big sponsor with them. And again, I was explaining to Brian Ledeen. Shout out to Brian Ledeen. That's one of the other guys that I kind of look up to in this NFL flag space. But I was talking to him, just kind of explaining like, hey, we don't use Sports Connect because Sports Connect wasn't around when we started. We've been doing this thing for so long. We had to have like a place online where we could have a website where people could go, they could register, they could find out what our league is about, and all that good stuff. So the same thing with social media. It's like we didn't have anybody to kind of look at for social media. So we had to figure out like, okay, how do we edit these videos? What are some of the ideas we use? So that's why we came up with like top plays. We came up with like recording the honor ceremony. So we try to do all this stuff with like the social media, where we had to like, I had to learn like graphic design. Like I never used like, PowerPoint, Premiere Pro, like some of that other stuff, like Adobe, Publisher, like everything that I use, like I didn't know how to use, ahead of time. So it was just kind of trial and error. And then it was like, oh, this is how you do this smoke effect, or oh, this is how you blend this graphic together. So it was a lot of YouTube videos and everything. And now, I do want to kind of toot my own horn, because I feel like I've become not an expert. However, I'm very good, I feel like, with the graphic design, the video editing, and all that, because I feel like I've had experience now. And the one thing that I will say is, at the summit, I think the biggest compliment that I could get, just as a person that runs a league and social media and everything, was just like, hey, I go to your website for said ideas, or I see what you put on social media and we use that same thing. And I just think that is like the ultimate compliment, because it's basically just, ideas that we have together. And it's like ideas, we bounce ideas off each other and say, hey, we should do this. Like I came to you and said, hey, let's do a top 10 coaches. Like, what do you think? You're like, hey, that's a great idea. And that's really what we do. We just kind of bounce our ideas off each other. And I just feel like it's because of us and kind of, how creative we are together as a team that I think that's why like our social media is kind of growing and our following is growing and all that good stuff though. So
I would agree. The media has really taken us to a higher level.
For sure.
And more important, I think what kills me when we got to me was when we travel, you see kids from other teams who follow us
for sure
on the website or followed us on the league, and they sort of know the players on our teams because we put the kids' names in this, like we do movies.
For sure.
The kids' names are like the actors, and
because they're the stars.
The stars.
It's the same thing.
Yep. It's just great for the kids to get that recognition from their peers in other cities. So the media has really been a big thing. Let me just finish off by saying Tom Leneve at the summit, he did a great thing at the end. He talked about how we have to, sometimes when you're working with kids in general, you might not see the fruit of your development.
For sure.
And, your job is to plant the trees and everything. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I work in the school district. And so you might not see that child, and they might see him in the beginning like, okay. But then as he gets older, you realize maybe but some of the things you said maybe influenced him or her. But with us being in the game for 20 years, we've been blessed to see some of the fruits that come through. I mean, so I'm talking fruits like when you see the players do their thing at the next level, play high school football. For
sure.
And then some of our athletes have gone to play college football.
For sure.
But they got the development in our league.
Which is crazy.
That's one of the fruits.
For sure.
You see one of the fruits when they see the players come back for our annual alumni game.
Yes.
That we have. And we've been doing that for years. And so that means that the kids really liked the league when they were playing and liked the sport and when they come back. And so that's one of the fruits there. As I mentioned, you see the fruits when they come back and they want to become officials in our league or even just coaches. Like I said, one of the coaches started here, coaches high school football. One of the fruits, former player, coaches his own team, is in the regional tournament.
For sure.
And then like I said, and finally you see the fruits, I think, when other league organizers around the country recognize your hard work.
For sure.
And experience. And so that's what the award ultimately is. Well, it's probably the biggest fruit you could say.
Absolutely.
Is League of the Year. So, I think all those are fruits that we've seen as we've been trying to plant and grow the seeds in our community. So that's all I really have to say about that.
All right. I love it. So, and again, to all the NFL flag organizers out there, Dallas, 2024. Make sure you attend that NFL Flag Summit. Get on the tournament run like NFL Flag. They do a good job. They just had the 32 Invitational.
Yep.
Like I think that's another awesome idea. I just feel like this game of flag football is growing. So get on board. Like get out there. Like because I feel like football is the biggest sport in America. Like it's not baseball. It's not basketball. Football is the biggest sport. So if you're not playing NFL Flag, you're not playing tackle, like you should be doing something. But I feel like NFL Flag is a move. If you like, hey, maybe I haven't played football before. So I feel like NFL flag is where you need to start, learn the aspect of the game. We got to get to a point where we could tell these tackle coaches, like, hey, don't be afraid to allow your kid to play flag football. Like, it's not a bad thing. We got to, change that narrative that flag football is soft, because it's not. Because you see some of the best players, like, playing flag football. Like, there was a guy, I think it's Brandon Enos, that's going to Ohio State and played, with a team in Miami or in Florida. So the thing is, like, we want to see our top athletes playing this flag football. And again, it's getting to the Olympics, so on and so forth. So again, we want to keep doing this. Get your kids in flag football. And I guess I'll let you close it with some last remarks.
Like I said, the podcast, we hope this happens in the future.
Let's hope.
But again, thanks again to all the NFL flag leagues out there. Everybody go to the summit next year in Dallas, as we said.
July 2024.
Yes.
Again, follow our website, Pittsburgh NFL League, .com. Check it out. YouTube, Pittsburgh NFL League. X, because it's not Twitter anymore, Pittsburgh NFL League. Instagram, Pittsburgh NFL League. Facebook, Pittsburgh NFL League. Subscribe, comment. And again, we want to bring you this, but we want to make sure this is something that you want to be a part of. Like, hey, if you want to, come be interviewed, because we're looking to interview you. Like, we looking for other people to do podcasts to come join us, or hey, we could be on your platform, so on and so forth. But again, we appreciate you guys. We were signing off, and talk to you guys soon.
Later.
All right, that was cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff.